Harley just made its boldest move in years and barely said a word. No press blitz, no big reveal, just one number that changed everything. Is this a comeback or a quiet surrender? Stay tuned, because what's happening here could decide Harley's future. Let's jump into Harley finally made their best move ever. You won't believe. It didn't happen with a press release or a speech. It happened in silence. One day, riders lifted their seats and saw "Made in Thailand." Not on a keychain, on the engine. For decades, Harley was more than a motorcycle. It was American steel, American sweat, American story. But then parts came from Mexico, chips from China, and final assembly, only sometimes, stayed in the States. It wasn't betrayal out loud. It was a quiet retreat from a promise made. Harley wrapped itself in flags, sold rebellion with red, white, and blue, then shifted production to survive. Factories closed, small towns went quiet, and the rumble of American pride turned into whispers of global supply chains. This wasn't just outsourcing. It was identity leaving through the back door.
3.
Because the moment the badge lost its meaning, so did the brand. And that's when Harley stopped being American. It wasn't announced with fireworks or fanfare, just a quiet update to a product page. But that single number shook the entire industry. $9,999 for a Harley. It cut through years of inflated pricing and luxury branding and hit like a wake-up call to riders who felt forgotten. For too long, Harley priced its culture out of reach. Mid-tier cruisers pushed 30 grand, and entry models were no longer entry. Then came the Nightster, affordable, raw, and unapologetically real. It wasn't just a price drop. It was a message that maybe Harley remembered who it was built for. Blue-collar riders, weekend rebels, people who ride for the love, not the label. Dealers scrambled, forums lit up, and the silence broke.
I'll be back.
Because for the first time in years, Harley wasn't just selling bikes, it was inviting people back in. Harley-Davidson's decision to slash the Nightster's price wasn't just a business move, it was a survival tactic. For years, the brand drifted away from its roots, chasing high-end buyers and corporate polish, while leaving real riders behind. The Nightster, at $9,999, was a sudden reversal, a shot in the dark, meant to revive the bond with working-class riders. But it came with no explanation, no celebration, just a quiet number on a sheet. That silence says everything. This isn't confidence, it's risk. Harley is betting that affordability will bring back loyalty, that riders still care. But if this gamble fails, if the riders don't return, it means Harley has lost more than market share. It's lost meaning. This move is the company's last real chance to stay relevant. If it doesn't work, it won't just be the end of a model, it'll be the end of an era. It didn't happen overnight, and it didn't make headlines at first. But Harley-Davidson, the symbol of American freedom and rebellion, has been slowly unraveling. Showrooms that once buzzed with life now sit in silence. Dealers offer discounts, giveaways, anything to bring people through the door. The roar of weekend rides replaced by the quiet hum of uncertainty. Production moved overseas, prices climbed, and the brand that once stood for working-class grit became something unrecognizable to its own base. Loyal riders felt pushed out, younger ones never bought in, and the culture that held it all together began to slip away. No big scandal, no dramatic fall, just fewer bikes on the road, less pride in the badge, and more questions about what Harley even stands for now. This isn't just a business slump, it's the slow fading of an icon that once roared across the nation. It didn't start with electric bikes or overseas parts. It started when prices rose, and the culture didn't come with it. Harley stopped listening, while loyal riders asked for grit and value. The company gave them touchscreen dashboards and $30,000 cruisers. The bond began to break quietly, one dealership at a time. Riders who once lived for weekend rides felt priced out. The machines they loved were now luxury items. The community they helped build turned into a brand pitch, and the sound of rebellion was drowned out by corporate polish. Harley forgot the mechanics, the veterans, the blue-collar backbone, the ones who bought bikes not for status, but for freedom. As the brand chased new markets, it left the old ones behind, and by the time it looked back, many of those riders were gone, not because they stopped loving Harley, but because Harley stopped loving them. There was a time when you could hear a Harley before you saw it, a deep thunder rolling through towns, highways, and hearts. The roar wasn't just sound, it was identity. It meant rebellion, pride, and freedom on two wheels. But somewhere along the line, the volume dropped. Harley traded raw power for sleek silence, chased electric dreams while the soul slipped away. Live wire came with speed, but no growl. Dealerships went quiet. The community grew distant, and the signature rumble faded into memory. It wasn't about the engine alone. It was about what it stood for. That unmistakable sound meant something. Now bikes whisper and riders wonder, is this still Harley? Or just another brand chasing trends? The roar once brought people together. Now its absence echoes louder than any engine ever did, and riders are left asking, what happened to the roar? It's not just the economy, and it's not just competition. Harley dealerships are empty because something deeper broke. Walk into one today, and the energy is gone. No roar of test rides, no crowd of riders swapping stories, just polished chrome, collecting dust. Managers offer discounts and free gear, but the problem isn't price alone, it's trust. For years, Harley drifted from its roots, chasing luxury customers and tech trends, while leaving real riders behind. Dealerships turned into retail chains, not community hubs. The bond that once brought people in every Saturday, gone. Loyal riders felt ignored. New ones never saw a reason to stay. Corporate pushed bikes that didn't match what the streets were asking for. And now the showrooms are quiet, not because people don't ride, but because Harley stopped giving them a reason to walk through the door. The space is still there, but the soul left first. Harley-Davidson was once the definition of rebellion. Leather boots, open roads, and a roar that shook the pavement. It wasn't just a bike, it was a lifestyle, a movement, a flag without politics. But somewhere along the way, rebellion turned into branding. The grit was replaced with gloss, the freedom with financing plans, and the culture that built the brand was slowly priced out of it. Harley chased luxury markets, electric futures, and global assembly lines. But in doing so, it lost the edge that made it matter. Riders started asking, who is this for now? The tattoos are still there, but the message feels faded. Rebellion used to mean something real. Now it feels like marketing, and when a brand built on authenticity forgets who it is. The regret comes fast, not from the outside, but from the riders who once believed in it and no longer do. When Harley launched the Livewire, it was supposed to be the future electric, sleek, and fast. It looked like a tech marvel. But it missed something big. It forgot the soul. No rumble, no ritual, just silence wrapped in a high price tag. Harley tried to be Tesla on two wheels, but riders weren't looking for a gadget. They were looking for a connection. The Livewire offered speed, but not spirit. No growl, no grease, no sense of rebellion. It was clean, efficient, and completely out of touch. The riders who built Harley didn't see themselves in it, and the new market Harley hoped to win over never showed up. They had better, cheaper options elsewhere. Livewire didn't fail because it was electric. It failed because it had no story. No roots. It wasn't a Harley. It was a logo on a bike that forgot why people ride in the first place. For years, Harley-Davidson ruled the road uncontested. Then Indian came back, not with noise, but with precision. While Harley chased premium pricing and electric dreams, Indian kept things simple: gritty cruisers, clean design, and prices that made sense. The Scout and Scout 60 hit where it hurt. Affordable, powerful, and honest riders started switching, and not quietly. Forums filled with stories. Harley loyalists who found what they'd been missing in Indian showrooms. Harley focused on image, Indian focused on experience. Harley pushed nostalgia. Indian delivered performance. And while Harley debated what it wanted to be, Indian just kept building bikes that people actually wanted. This wasn't a marketing war. It was a shift in loyalty. And in the silence Harley left behind, Indian found its voice. The question now isn't who's louder, it's who's listening. And more riders are choosing Indian over echoes of the past. Gen Z didn't grow up idolizing chrome and loud engines. They grew up with smartphones, electric cars, and instant connection. Harley sells nostalgia, but Gen Z buys function. They want bikes that are light, efficient, and easy to maintain. Not 700-pound machines with touchscreen dashboards and $25,000 price tags. They care about flexibility, not tradition. And Harley's image of rebellion feels more like a costume than a cause. The marketing doesn't speak their language. The bikes don't fit their budget, and the culture feels locked in the past. While other brands build for the future, Harley keeps trying to sell a legend. But Gen Z isn't interested in buying memories. They want something that works, that feels theirs. And right now, Harley doesn't, until it stops talking about who it was and starts understanding who they are. Gen Z will keep looking elsewhere and riding right past the dealership. This isn't the first time Japan challenged Harley. Back in the 80s, it was about performance and price. Today, it's about precision and relevance. While Harley leaned into legacy, Japanese brands built bikes that actually fit the lives of modern riders. Honda's Rebel 1010 offered smooth power and reliability at a fraction of the price. Yamaha's Bolt brought stripped-down design without the attitude. Kawasaki's Vulcan S gave riders comfort and customization without the debt. These bikes didn't try to be nostalgic, they just worked. They spoke to new riders, young commuters, weekend cruisers, people who want rideability, not rituals. Meanwhile, Harley kept chasing status, and in doing so, it left the everyday rider behind. Japan didn't win by being louder, it won by being smarter. Affordable, practical, consistent. Harley had the legend, but Japan offered the future. And once again, that's what riders chose. For decades, Harley meant Milwaukee steel and American hands. It was more than a machine, it was a symbol. But now many parts come from overseas, and full models are assembled in Thailand. The badge is the same, but the story behind it has changed. Riders lift the seat and see labels they never expected. Made in Thailand, assembled outside the US. It's not about politics, it's about identity. When a brand builds itself on patriotism and pride, shifting production feels like a broken promise. Harley says it's about survival, about staying competitive in a global market. But for many riders, it feels like the soul got outsourced. The rumble is still there, but the meaning feels different. Can a Harley still be a Harley? If the people who made it aren't the ones who always did, and if not, what's really left under the tank? There was a time when the Harley badge stood for something: American steel, blue-collar grit, and stories passed down through generations. It wasn't just a logo, it was a promise that your bike was built with pride, not shortcuts. But slowly, that promise faded. Parts came from overseas, assembly moved off American soil, and the meaning behind the badge started to crack. Riders who once wore it like armor now wear it with hesitation, because what used to mean Milwaukee now means global supply chain. The bond that came with that badge, the pride in saying, "I ride a Harley," started to feel empty. You can't market heritage if you've quietly replaced it. The chrome still shines, but it doesn't reflect the same truth. When the badge lost its meaning, the connection riders had to the brand broke too, and no amount of branding can fix what trust once built. The American dream used to ride on two wheels. Built in Milwaukee, fueled by pride and freedom, Harley wasn't just a motorcycle. It was a symbol of working-class power and independence. But then costs rose, markets shrank, and decisions were made. Factories closed, production moved to Thailand, and the dream that once rolled off American assembly lines started arriving in crates from overseas. It wasn't about greed, it was about survival. But survival came with a cost. The connection between the rider and the maker broke. Riders felt it, communities felt it. The badge said, America. But the story behind it didn't. Harley outsourced more than manufacturing. It outsourced meaning, and the dream that once roared through small towns and open highways. Now feels distant, packaged, and quietly shipped from somewhere else. The engine still runs, but the dream doesn't sound the same. Harley once stood tall, forged in steel, and fueled by rebellion. It was more than a motorcycle. It was a movement. The sound of a Harley wasn't just noise, it was pride. But over the years, that roar faded. The bikes got heavier, the prices got higher, and the culture got quieter. What started in American factories moved overseas. What was once built by calloused hands became just another product. Harley chased tech trends and premium markets and lost the riders who made it matter. Showrooms empty, the bond between brand and believer thin, and the rumble that once echoed through towns turned into silence. This wasn't one bad decision. It was a slow drift from everything Harley once was, from steel to silence. From pride to polish. And now the brand that once ruled the road is struggling to remember the way back. Ducati was once fading, a niche brand loved by purists, but ignored by the modern rider. Then came the Scrambler, simple, raw, and honest. It didn't try to be revolutionary, it just felt real. Ducati didn't chase luxury, it chased connection. It built a bike that was fast but friendly, cool but accessible, and most importantly, it remembered its soul. Riders came back because they felt seen, they felt invited. Harley, on the other hand, keeps pushing tech and price tags, forgets the feel, the story, the ritual. It builds for shareholders, not streets. Ducati proved you don't need to change everything, you just need to remember why you mattered. Harley has the history, it has the name, but it keeps missing the point. People don't ride for status. They ride for something that feels alive. Ducati got that. Harley still doesn't. It wasn't a single bike that hurt Harley. It was the idea behind it, that a motorcycle could cost $30,000 and still feel like rebellion.
Here we go.
Harley started pricing its bikes like luxury cars, thinking riders would pay for heritage alone. But the streets told a different story. Loyal customers walked away. New riders never walked in because the price didn't match the promise. The chrome was polished, but the culture was fading. Dealerships sat quiet, bikes gathered dust, and the bond between rider and brand cracked under the weight of a payment plan. Harley didn't just lose sales, it lost trust. That $30,000 dream turned into a warning sign of how far the company had drifted from its roots. It wasn't just a price point. It was a symbol of a brand, forgetting who it was really building for. It used to be loud engines firing up laughter over coffee chrome, catching sunlight. Harley showrooms were more than places to shop. They were places to belong. Now you walk in, And it's still salespeople rearranging jackets. New bikes sitting untouched. The energy is gone. Not because riders stopped caring, but because Harley stopped connecting. Prices soared, models got complicated, and the heart got lost in the marketing. The community that once filled these spaces found the doors closed to them. Harley chased a different crowd and lost the one that built it. Now showrooms echo with silence. Not rebellion, not stories, just absence. It's not about inventory, it's about identity. Because when a place built on sound goes quiet, it means something deeper broke. And if Harley doesn't hear that silence as a warning, it won't be a showroom, it'll be a museum. The signs have been there for years. Empty showrooms fading, loyalty rising competition. Harley kept pushing forward without looking back. Chasing new markets, electric dreams, and luxury buyers. But in doing so, it left behind the riders who gave the brand its soul. Now with models like the Nightster, priced to bring people back, the company is trying to course correct. But the question hangs heavy. Is it too late? Can you rebuild trust after years of silence? Can you bring back a community that found a home elsewhere? Harley still has the name, the history, the grit, but the bond is fractured. And rebuilding it takes more than price drops and promises. It takes proof, consistency, and humility. Because riders remember who listened and who didn't. And if Harley waits any longer to remember who it was, it might not get another chance to try again.